Good day, and welcome to Gone Guy TV. An episode or two ago, I did a visit to the Pioneer Saloon up in Good Springs, Nevada. And I have to admit, I was a little underimpressed by the food. And that got me thinking. I'm not a critic or really even a foodie, but I was thinking back to, my previous life when I actually had gainful employment and traveled a great deal for work. And at that time, I found myself eating in a lot of hotels. And I must admit, I was a little preoccupied not to be observed sitting by myself at a restaurant table, which drove me to sit by myself at a bar and eat there. And that got me pondering. Worry, worry, worry. Do you too worry about what other people think when you eat alone at a restaurant table? Or are you concerned as to why you can only eat alone in a hotel bar room? Well, then maybe you could use the services of the sponsor of today's episode, Therapists Are Us. So if you find yourself troubled in this world of ours, find yourself worried about the judgment of the 2 or 3 billion people that are watching us on social media, then I encourage you to check out our friends at Therapists Are Us. Now, back to our video. Well, now that we have that out of the way, I'd like to talk a little bit more about today's episode. As I said earlier, I did a visit to the Pioneer Saloon up in Good Springs, Nevada. And on a recent trip, we found ourselves in a place called Joshua Tree, the town, not the park, although we did go to the park eventually. But we found a saloon there, kind of similar in many sorts to the Pioneer Saloon. And that was called the Joshua Tree Saloon. Kind of interesting. At any rate, today we're going to take a look at the Joshua Tree Saloon, where it is, how we got there, and what our thoughts were. So, please stand by as we jump into this week's episode. There are multiple ways to get to Joshua Tree from Las Vegas, and we decided that the best course of action was to take the longest route, which you'll see here. Our overall objective was to spend as little time as possible on freeways, so the route we took made use of back roads, country, and state highways. For better orientation, you'll see that Las Vegas is up there at the top of the map, Riverside and San Bernardino down where the flashing arrow is, and the red dot, well, that's Joshua Tree. As we move in closer, you'll see off to the right, where the arrow is, the town of 29 Palms. And if you ever served in the Marine Corps, chances are pretty good you know about this garden spot. And then off to the left or to the west, where the red dot is, you'll see the town of Joshua Tree. And this finally brings us to the saloon, which is on the intersection of Park Boulevard, which leads into Joshua Tree Park, and Highway 62, conveniently located across the street from the Circle K. In its most current iteration, the Joshua Tree Saloon opened in 1984. One of its claims to fame is it is open 365 days of the year. It's currently owned and operated by a father-daughter team, Gerard and Camille. Here's Gerard here. Looks like kind of a pretty cool guy, but I'll tell you what, that car even looks more cool. In my humble opinion, for a saloon to meet its responsibility as being cool and a great place to be and stand out from the crowd, it has to have some elements of, saloonishness. And I'd have to say the Joshua Tree Saloon certainly has that. And more to the point, it shouldn't look like a Hollywood movie set. It should look, well, real, like in fact it is a saloon. And to me, I'd have to say they succeeded. It doesn't look planned. It doesn't look designed. Quite frankly, it just looks like something that happened and turned out to be the Joshua Tree Saloon. And this is all the more impressive because it does sit, in fact, at the gateway of a major tourist attraction, Joshua Tree Park, and is a thriving business. And by thriving, I can say busy. The night we were there, I believe we waited 35, perhaps 40 minutes to get an open table. The place was packed. Yet, even as full as it was, as busy as it was, it maintained that saloonish style. And that brings us around to the food. After all, that's where I was last disappointed by a saloon, was its food. As I noted then, I am not a food critic, nor should I be, and I'm not particularly what I would consider a foodie. But I do enjoy good food, and I'm pretty sure I recognize good food when I see it, smell it, and taste it. In this area, the Joshua Tree Saloon did not disappoint. While it's hard to convey in a medium like YouTube, I can assure you the food presented was beautiful, the aromas were decadent, and the flavor, well, simply delicious. Some have commented and observed that my standards for saloon food may be a bit on the high side. Well, I disagree. Saloons were put in place to cater to our cowboy gods of yore, and as the explorers of the current West, we should expect no less. What doesn't suffice is what I saw in the last saloon. Please, we can do better. And the Joshua Tree Saloon has proven that. So in summary, go for the ambiance. Go for the adventure. Go for the excitement. Go for the company. And definitely go for the food. Thank you for watching this episode of Gone Guy TV, and we'll see you next time.